so excited to talk to you today. I am also very nervous. I don't know why. I made a video recently describing, I made a few videos recently, honestly, describing the way that my relationship with Kibbe's system is changing. Obviously, a lot of you are here because I offer some ideas about flamboyant Gamine style advice, because that's the Kibbe type I resonate with. I want to shift the ways that I talk about body typing and kind of really just sink into how I want to experience this kind of expression with all of you. I have been sitting and writing so much just about why I'm even doing this and why it's important to me, and so that's kind of what this video is going to be about. So essentially I'm going to talk about Kibbe's system, the image ID system, because it's still impactful to me and I do want to talk about it in new ways, as well as like kind of where I'm at with it and like why I want to continue using this system and allow it to kind of morph into the way that I want to talk about it, which is more objectively. Because okay, Kibbe wrote his book Metamorphosis in the 80s. Not only has like clothing changed since then, the way that we understand ourselves and the way that we interact with our bodies has changed since then. So I wanted to approach this in a way that felt more inclusive so that you could learn about the actual shapes and know what you're looking for your own body, as well as learning about your own energy and your own vibe, and then how to use Kibbe's ideas to support the style you're trying to create for yourself. But also, what's most important to me isn't even that you figure out your, image ID in Kibbe's system. Like, that's not a big deal to me. That's just like the conduit, it's just the channel as to which I've started developing a more harmonious relationship with my own body. Like, that was kind of my starting point, was learning about my body type, because I think it's an interesting conversation. But really, what's going to help you find your style and shape your expression is how you learn to communicate with your body. It's a method, it's a container for you to start learning about what your body needs to feel whole and to feel itself. Tom is here. Say hello. In Kibbe's system, it's essentially discussing the energetic expression of yin and yang, and yin being rounded shapes that you see in nature, ovals, circles, energies that are soft and flowing, as well as like a sense of smallness, I would say. The way that yin shows up in bodies is in the same way that it would show up in clothes, in architecture, all of those things. Is that rounded softness, that energy that's just kind of like, you've seen it. You have the yang energy, which is like a big energy. It's sharpness, it's length, angularity, it's your rectangles, your pointed shapes. I'm like working really hard because in the past, okay, here we go. We're going off script. In the past, I would use words like feminine, masculine. I would use words like delicate, harsh, because these are the words Kibbe uses to describe bodies, and particularly women's bodies. I want to steer away from using language that feels constricting. I want it to feel more accessible to people who have triggers, because obviously I can sit here and I can tell you what your type is. I can say, this is how I perceive you. But it's like, what do you do with that information if your relationship with your body is disconnected? If you feel like it's not accurate to how you perceive yourself and how you exist in the world. This particularly has been informed by like my queerness and like interacting with the queer community. Just because someone is soft and round, it doesn't mean that they are perceiving themselves as feminine or womanly. on the other end too. Like, just because somebody is narrow and long and sharp doesn't mean that they perceive themselves as masculine. I don't want things to be synonymous when they're truly not. It's about your relationship with your body and your relationship with yourself, and using this container as a catalyst for healing and transforming your style. The Kibbe philosophy being that you're celebrating your frame. Like, this is a way to observe your body. There's like a lot of ways that you can interpret this, and I think it's been described in a way that feels limiting to me. Particularly in my own body, I have a lot of things that are juxtaposing, where I'm dealing with a lot of contrast physically as a Gamine, because Gamine is a mixture of the sharp, angular, long energy and then the rounded, soft, flowing energy, and it shows up in a variety of ways. The idea, the simplified philosophy of Kibbe, is to mimic the shapes that your body is making in your clothing, and to use those shapes to express the way that your energy is meant to manifest in the world. And so if you have a soft and round frame, you can wear soft and round clothing that doesn't always equate to looking like Marilyn Monroe, which is like the face of the romantic type. Or if you have a long, angular frame and you need to accommodate a lot of length and structure in your frame, a lot of verticality, you can still do that in a way that feels womanly, even if Kibbe wouldn't describe the yang types as feminine. And it's like, no, like there's all these different ways that you can express in a way that would support your frame. I want to approach all of it with so much gentleness. This is the heart of it for me. I'm not here to tell you who you are. I'm here to facilitate and to be a bridge in conversation between you and your body. Because your body is so precious, and your body remembers everything, and your body holds so much. I want to support you in your discoveries and celebrate your discoveries with you. Remind you that everything is connected. Everything flows and starts from the self. The way that you care for yourself, the way that you nurture your relationship with yourself, it affects the ways that you perceive everything around you. It affects the ways that you care for your community as well. I want your clothing to just be an entry point to that thought process. It can be a great opportunity for you to start asking yourself, why do I think these things? And who taught me to be a certain way in the world? What stories am I carrying about myself and about my body, because my body is hearing everything that I'm saying about it? Who has repeatedly taken that permission away from you to be everything that you are? When you clicked on this video, you thought this was gonna be a Kibbe 101. There are plenty of videos about that online. I would recommend looking at alley art, body and style. There are a lot of people on YouTube who will tell you and break down the system and tell you what you're supposed to look for. And I'm going to do that in some ways. It'll be more abstract because that's how my brain is. There's obviously benefits to the methodology. There are ways that it supports you in getting dressed, which is something you do every single day. It supports your mind and your body connection and your embodiment and how you show up confidently in the world and in your wholeness, to know certain things about what works and what doesn't. But it's like, what do you do when you gather all of that information and it's technically correct for you, but then you're like, I'm scared to do this though? You know, I would say I was in a religious environment that said I'm not allowed to wear an open neckline, but I'm a natural type and that's going to be the most flattering. But every time I put on an open neckline, I'm scared and I feel like I'm doing something wrong. You know, you were in a relationship where it was kind of back and forth whether you were allowed to be perceived as attractive or not. It's like that fine line for a lot of women where it's like, if I look attractive, people think I'm trying too hard. Or, you know, he would tell me, why would you want to look like you're available when you're not? But then when I would not try, you never try. Why don't you want to look good? Don't you want me to be attracted to you? That whiplash mentally that you can experience when you're in harmful relationships. At the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter if you know exactly how to make yourself look good if the environment you're in is saying, you don't get to be that way. The people that you're around, or your own mental narrative, or an old story about yourself is saying, well, I can't wear that anyway. When your own sense of self and your own, like, in your autonomy is stripped from you, it doesn't matter if you know your body type or not. And so I want to sit and start having these conversations. I think that's why this is important to me. I think it's a lot more than just like giving you information on how to dress. It's a lot deeper than that too for me. But at the end of the day, it's about your expression. It's about your autonomy. It's about the way you apply the knowledge. You're the one with the innate wisdom as to what your body needs. And so I want to just support you in holding space for that conversation with yourself. Okay. Does that, like, I'm just, okay. I want to wrap it up with that. Let me know if any of this resonated with you. I want to hear what your experiences are like when it comes to Kibbe and when it comes to body typing and personal style in general. Like where do you start butting heads with certain systems? Hi, Mimi. And what language do you find limiting about body typing systems in general or different methodologies like this? And it halts your progress in learning about your style. I feel like those are much more important conversations to be having than like, oh, I'm shaped like a T or an hourglass or a ruler, you know? Like, it grinds my gears for the conversation to stop there. Like I said, it's an entry point. You're always growing and changing. And so the systems that you're in also need to be flexible or they need to be dropped. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel about it. But I got in a real philosophical space today. The moon is full. It's in Gemini. And it is just making me feel chatty. So here I am with a chatty little video. And I hope that it's a helpful one to you. Well, are you going to sit? Oh, he's right here. This is Tom. He's a big bully. Remember when he was a puppy, everyone? Do you guys remember when he was just a little pup? Mwah. I heard the most beautiful thing the other day. I was listening to the Moonbeaming podcast. It's Sarah Faith Gottesdiener's podcast. She had a guest on there named Shane, and she was talking about her ancestor practices. She reminded me about how important embodiment is and how important it is to like regulate your nervous system in order to hear things clearly and to like sit in a space that isn't survival mode. Not everybody has that luxury, but if you do have the space for that, like something really beautiful that was said was, I am breathing with everything that breathes. And that is something that has shifted me to remind me that everything living and breathing has a message to give, and you are something that is living and breathing. Just remembering that and learning how to hear the messages and the wisdom that your body has to offer you in every moment. I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you for being here as always. Bye.